Deputy Gerry Adams.
Minister, the Government, as we've just heard, is failing the tens of thousands of families in mortgage distress and on social housing waiting lists. And last October, Fiona Muldoon, the head of the banking regulation at the Irish Central Bank, was scathing in her criticism of the bankers and their failure to address the issue of mortgage distress. This morning, AIB indicated that they plan to increase their variable interest rates once again, and that will directly impact on 70,000 customers. And as you well know, 1.25% rise in rates adds £30 a month, €30 a month to the cost of repayments on every 200,000 borrowed. And that's €30 that many of these families simply don't have. The AIB is also a fully owned state bank, and the Government is refusing to deal with this issue in the way that it should. So it seems to be it's okay to give £64 billion of the taxpayers' money to the banks, but it's not an issue to help citizens in mortgage distress. Sinn Féin's view is that the Government should intervene directly and tell AIB that their planned rates increase is not acceptable. Now, Fine Gael and Labour came to power promising to prioritise those in mortgage distress. Instead, it has abandoned them. By complete coincidence, on this very day, 2 years ago, Labour told people in mortgage distress, if Labour is in government, they will enjoy peace of mind. And the Labour Party leader, Eamon Gilmore, said, the banks have already received thousands of millions in taxpayers' money. There has to be a quid pro quo for that, and that is to give people who are in mortgage distress a breather. I didn't make that up. That's what the party leader and the Taoiseach of today said. Yet another broken promise. And today there are more citizens than ever. 2 years on, more than ever. There are 180,000 households currently in trouble, with 115 additional homeowners falling into distress every day. And I often wonder to myself, what exactly is the point of the Labour Party in this day, and particularly of the Labour Party in government, particularly this government and this government's record? So the personal insolvency legislation will not fix this problem. It gives the banks a veto over the arrangements, and as long as they have a veto, why would they not exercise it? If you give it to them, they'll use it to their own and in their own self-interest. So I want to deal, if I may, just briefly, Cathaoirleach, with the issue of social housing. The policy of the Government in depleting the social housing stock is exacerbating the crisis in housing and a number of citizens on waiting lists. In my constituency office, and I'm sure it's the same for every TD, is dealing with increasing numbers of people who have been forced to leave what was the family home. Sometimes this is because of domestic breakdown, sometimes it's due to domestic violence and relationship coming to an end. And then these citizens have difficulty, Margaret, assessing supplementary welfare allowance or rental allowance because they're often deemed by the local authority housing lists to have vested financial interest in family homes which they no longer occupy. And you're bound to have dealt with this yourself in your long involvement in politics. There's a lack of clarity in this area and a disparity in procedures between local authorities. And Minister Hogan needs to empower and resource local authorities to effectively assess such applicants. He needs to set out a clear policy to deal with these matters, to establish mechanisms to allow for compassionate and psychological factors to be part of the assessment process. And finally, Cathaoirleach, in a republic, in a real republic, citizens should have the right to a home. But this isn't, as we learn every day, a real republic. It is, as was said by a historian many years ago, a dictionary republic. But a Labour Party, was its name, should aspire to protecting citizens, safeguarding their rights and ensuring that they have a home. And this motion proposes measures that can very, very definitively contribute to ending the current crisis in housing, and I commend it to the Dáil.
Thank you, Deputy.